We know all about the bandits and bad boys, the gunfighters and goons, but not the women who held it all together with grit and spit. The reality is plain. There never would have been a settled West without the women, Native and Mexican women here first. Black and white women who followed, all settling the vast, unknown and scary lands beyond the Mississippi River. It's traditional to say that it was Samuel Colt's .45 that tamed the West. But a little-known fact is that it wasn't a pistol, but rather a petticoat. It was the women who finally tamed the West. While this may seem at variance to what you have been led to believe, open up your mind and at least consider what you are about to know. The earliest pioneers, the 49ers, seeking gold and a new life following the Civil War, were normally single men, or men who left their families back east as they were seeking their fortune. Of every 9 men, there was only 1 woman who went to California. Colorado's 1860 census showed 32,654 men and only 1,577 women. Towns were built around the needs of men: saloons, general stores, more saloons, land offices, even more saloons, and a hotel or two for when they weren't working or at the saloons. When the boom towns sprang up, any women that showed up were usually single, arriving right behind the opening of the saloons. The women worked in the saloons dancing with the men. The women were of 2 types: the soiled dudes who shilled drinks and enticed men into a small room, and those who simply danced with men for 2 bits, 25 cents, a dance. As these women got married and families started coming out west, the look of the West began to change. Schools and churches were built. Men started going home in the evening instead of the saloon. Feather beds, curtains, and furniture started decorating the homes. Laws were passed to control public drunkenness and carrying guns in town. In other words, the West became tame. Men weren't the only colorful figures of the Wild West. Women proved easily their equal. There were many such women in the Wild West, but we will focus on 4 legends who it would be surprising if you didn't recognize. Here's the good news: you don't have to dig deep to find remarkable stories of the remarkable women of the West, you just have to care enough to dig. We cared enough. Meet some of the women who should be in every history book. Number 1. Calamity Jane. Martha Jane Canary was born in Missouri somewhere around 1844. Martha Jane was a woman of many talents and a knack for getting involved in exciting adventures. She did all sorts of jobs, from nursing and washing dishes to driving ox wagons and even dressing like a man. She wasn't afraid to puff on a cigar, and she could handle mules like a pro when she joined General Crook's army march into Montana. But her secret was revealed one day when she went for a swim in the river, and everyone found out she was a woman. They started calling her Calamity Jane because it seemed like she was always there when something went wrong. If there was an accident or someone needed help, you could count on Jane to be right there to lend a hand. Her nickname stuck, and the legend of Calamity Jane was born. Calamity Jane's adventures only grew wilder as she became a central figure in the action-packed Old West. She was known for her distinctive buckskin attire, which she often donned when she headed to the local saloons to charm the bartenders into serving her drinks on the house. However, in her everyday life, she typically wore a dress, a stark contrast to her legendary image. In matters of the heart, Calamity Jane had her fair share of romances and multiple husbands throughout her life. But there was one man who truly held her heart: Wild Bill Hickok. Their time together was brief, and tragedy struck when Wild Bill was fatally shot by Jack McCall in Deadwood. This loss left a lasting impact on Calamity Jane, and her grief was felt deeply. As she settled in Deadwood, Calamity Jane decided to share her life story through an autobiography, although it's widely believed that much of it was embellished with fiction and tall tales. Among the stories, one undeniable truth emerged: her struggle with alcoholism, which eventually led to her dismissal from the Midway shows she had been a part of for so long. Despite her flaws and the embellishments in her autobiography, Calamity Jane's legend continued to thrive, immortalizing her as a unique and enduring character of the Old West. On August 1, 1903, Calamity Jane's remarkable life came to an end as she succumbed to pneumonia. It's said that her final words were a simple yet poignant request: "Bury me next to Bill." And so, her wish was granted, and she found her eternal rest beside her beloved Wild Bill Hickok. Even in death, their bond remained unbroken. In the wild and rugged landscape of the Old West, Calamity Jane stood tall as a symbol of strength and resilience. Her legend serves as a testament to the enduring spirit of the pioneers and trailblazers of that bygone era. Her memory lives on, a reminder of the indomitable human spirit and the timeless appeal of the Old West's unforgettable characters. Number 2. Annie Oakley. Born Phoebe Ann Mosey, she was the fifth of 7 children. Phoebe's early life was tough. Growing up in a poor family in Ohio, her world changed when her father passed away when she was only 5 years old. She ended up in an orphanage, and then with a family that treated her badly. Things got a little better when she was 8, as she got to live with her mother again. One day, while sitting on her porch, Phoebe had a surprising encounter with a squirrel. She managed to shoot it right through the head with a gun, which really scared her Quaker mother. After that, she stayed away from guns for a while. But soon enough, she found herself using one to put food on the family's table and supply the general store with game. The store manager even started sending extra meat to a hotel. Something amazing happened when the hotel manager found out it was a young girl providing the meat. He arranged a shooting contest between Phoebe, who was only 15 years old at the time, and a skilled sharpshooter named Frank Butler, who was 25. Wearing a sunbonnet and a pink gingham dress, Phoebe surprised everyone by outshooting Frank. He was so impressed that he convinced her to marry him within a year, marking the start of a remarkable journey for the young and talented Phoebe Ann. Then, on a memorable day, April 17, 1885, they crossed paths with the Buffalo Bill Wild West show. Annie Oakley swiftly won the hearts of the audience, rising to stardom within a short span. For the next 17 years, she embarked on an incredible journey with Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill affectionately dubbed her Little Missy, while Sitting Bull, the renowned Native American leader, affectionately referred to her as Little Sure Shot. Her husband, Frank Butler, humorously earned the moniker Mr. Annie Oakley. Despite her newfound fame and success, Annie Oakley remained down to earth. She didn't see herself as a superstar, but simply sought the comforts of home within the tents she traveled in. When Annie Oakley reached the age of 41, life threw another unexpected curveball her way. She found herself caught in a train crash that left her with serious injuries. After enduring numerous surgeries and a lengthy period of recovery, she made the difficult decision to stop traveling and instead focused on performing on the stage. There, she shared her remarkable shooting skills and trained others to follow in her footsteps. It was her way of passing on her knowledge and leaving a lasting legacy. However, life had more challenges in store for Annie Oakley. A car accident left her crippled, marking the end of her active career. Despite the setbacks, Annie Oakley continued to be an inspiration to many, demonstrating resilience and determination in the face of adversity. In 1926, at the age of 66, Annie Oakley passed away. Her husband, deeply saddened by her loss, followed her just 3 weeks later. Their love and partnership had been an integral part of her life, and their passing marked the end of an era. Annie Oakley's incredible journey, from her early struggles to her rise to stardom and her enduring impact on the world of sharpshooting, remains a testament to her extraordinary spirit and determination. Number 3. Belle Starr. Myra Maybelle Shirley was born on February 5, 1848, in Carthage, Missouri. From a wealthy family, she was educated and taught Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. So how did she become the female Jesse James, Belle Starr? The Civil War broke out in her early teens and she supported the Confederacy. At 16, she moved to Texas where she met Jim Reed, also from Missouri, and they got married. Jim was more interested in horse racing and gambling rather than farming and turned to rustling and killing. In 1874, Jim Reed was killed. Myra, now known as Belle, went into the mountains and met and married a Cherokee Indian named Sam Starr. Younger's Bend was their home, where it was said Cole Younger, Frank and Jesse James and other outlaws visited. In 1882, Sam and Belle were arrested for theft of horses. They served 9 months of a 1-year sentence when they were released and returned to their ranch. Sam went back to an outlaw life and was killed at a Christmas dance. Belle, No longer with an Indian connection, was threatened with losing her ranch and being kicked off the land. So she married her third husband, another Indian who was 15 years younger, Jim July. Number 4. Carrie Amelia Moore. Carrie was born on November 25, 1846, in Kentucky. She was a selfish, sickly child. At the age of 21, she married Dr. Charles Gloyd. Her marriage didn't start out well because the groom arrived drunk. After their wedding, he spent much of his time at the Masonic Lodge drinking. Their marriage lasted only 1.5 years. She had one child and an attitude that affected a large portion of this nation. A short while later, she met the answer to her prayers, David Nation. He was a lawyer, minister, and newspaperman, and was 19 years older than her. He didn't drink or smoke, nor was he successful at any of his occupations. In 1890, they moved to Medicine Lodge, Kansas, where he was a minister. Carrie decided things that weren't good for men, which included strong drink and sex. And since her first husband spent a lot of time drinking at the Masonic Lodge, the Masonic Order was added to her list. Oh yes, she also hated tobacco. Carrie joined the Women's Christian Temperance Union. She talked temperance but really promoted prohibition. She was arrested for defacing a keg of medicinal whiskey in a store in Kansas. When being arrested, she reportedly shouted back, "Defacing? I'm not defacing, I'm destroying." In June 1889, she attacked her first saloon in Kiowa, Kansas, using a broken pool cue. By the time she arrived in Wichita, she had learned that an axe did a much better job. It should be noted that prohibition provided power to women at a time when they had yet to be emancipated, meaning women couldn't vote. Then one day in Topeka, a man came out and handed her a bunch of small pewter hatchets and told her to sell them to pay her fines and expenses for the month, and the crowd quickly snatched them up. And the hatchet became the symbol for her movement. In 1901, after 29 years of marriage, her husband David filed for divorce on the grounds that he married her to have someone to run his house and she had deserted him. Getting rid of her second husband, Carrie was free to travel the nation lecturing and destroying. When lecturing in New York, John L. Sullivan, owner of a beer joint, said that if she entered his place, he would push her down the sewer. She took up his challenge and chased him into the men's room, where she refused to follow. Another bar in New York had a sign that read, "All nations welcome except Carrie." In 1919, 8 years after her death, prohibition became the law across the nation. Thanks for tuning in to our video about the real women of the Wild West. We hope you enjoyed learning about these amazing women who played such a big role in shaping the frontier. Now, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this video? Did you discover something new, or do you have any questions? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with more fascinating content from our channel. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to hear from you.